We don't know. We don't know what's going on. We need to get a deal done and stop with all this foolishness. Stop with all this 3-on-3 and all of this other stuff, man. Get a deal done so that we can start the real games, okay? People are getting hurt left and right. It was a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to brace yourselves for the absolute worst-case scenario. We have spent the last 3 months talking about boardroom politics. We have spent the last 3 months analyzing collective bargaining agreements, revenue shares, salary caps, and the monumental, unprecedented incompetence of the WNBA Players Association. We have been staring at spreadsheets and worrying about a lockout, but while we were all distracted by the financial circus, the absolute nightmare scenario, the doomsday event that every single Indiana Fever fan has been dreading in the back of their minds, has just happened on a random basketball court in Miami, Florida. Aliyah Boston, the former #1 overall pick, the Rookie of the Year, the undisputed anchor of the Indiana Fever, and the single most important teammate to the generational phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark, has gone down with an injury. And the way this injury is being handled, the way the medical information is being suppressed, hidden, and manipulated by the Unrivaled League, is one of the most disgusting and terrifying cover-ups I have ever seen in the modern era of professional sports. Let us start with the sheer, unadulterated irony of this entire situation, because the hypocrisy is enough to make your blood boil. Why was the Unrivaled 3-on-3 League created in the first place? Breanna Stewart and Napheesa Collier stood in front of the cameras and told the world that they were launching this league to protect the players. They told us that WNBA players were being forced to go overseas to places like Russia and Turkey to make a living, and that playing year-round was destroying their bodies. Unrivaled was supposed to be the safe haven. It was supposed to be the domestic sanctuary, where players could make 6 figures, play a light schedule, and protect their physical health for the actual WNBA season. And yet, what is the reality? The reality is an absolute bloodbath. Players are dropping like flies. Kayla McBride suffered a devastating injury overseas, and now, the Unrivaled League, which was built on the promise of player safety, has just taken out the foundational centerpiece of the Indiana Fever franchise just weeks before the WNBA season is supposed to start. But the injury itself is not even the most infuriating part. Injuries happen in basketball. It is a physical sport. The infuriating part, the part that should have every single investigative sports journalist knocking down the doors of the Unrivaled medical tent, is the absolutely pathetic, vague, and downright insulting medical update that was released to the public.
Aliyah Boston, who left Phantom BC's last regular season game with injury, has been ruled out for the rest of the season due to a right lower extremity injury. That is very vague. That could be a sore calf. That could be an Achilles. That could be an ankle, a foot. We don't know what's going on. It could be a knee. We don't know what lower extremity. That's very vague. That's very, very vague.
A right lower extremity injury? Are you kidding me? What kind of amateur hour, Bush League medical diagnosis is that? We are living in the year 2026. We have MRI machines. We have advanced sports science. When a professional athlete goes down, the team normally says it is a grade 2 ankle sprain, or it is a meniscus tear, or it is a bruised calf. They give you a timeline, they give you a specific anatomical location, but when a sports organization puts out a press release saying a star player has suffered a lower extremity injury, that is not a medical update. That is a public relations smokescreen. That is a deliberate, calculated attempt to hide catastrophic news from the public, from the sponsors, and from the Indiana Fever front office. When you use language that vague, it immediately sets off the panic alarms in the minds of every single orthopedic surgeon in the country. Lower extremity is the code word that teams use when a player has suffered a torn Achilles tendon. It is the code word they use when a player has shredded their ACL or torn their patellar tendon. They use vague language because they do not want to admit that their 3-on-3 exhibition league just permanently altered the trajectory of a billion-dollar WNBA franchise. Unrivaled only has 3 days left in their entire season. If Aliyah Boston just had a sore muscle, if she just tweaked an ankle, they would say, she is sitting out the final 3 days for rest and precautionary measures. But they didn't say that. They completely ruled her out and refused to elaborate. They are hiding the severity of this injury because they are terrified of the backlash. They are terrified that the Indiana Fever front office, the USA Basketball Olympic Committee, and the millions of Caitlin Clark fans are going to look at Breanna Stewart's league and realize it is a dangerous, unnecessary hazard to the real superstars of the sport. And let's talk about the absolute devastation this brings to the basketball court in Indianapolis. If you are a fan of Caitlin Clark, your heart should be sinking into your stomach right now. Basketball is a game of synergy. It is a game of geometry. You cannot have an elite, historic point guard without an elite, dominant role man setting screens and catching passes. John Stockton needed Karl Malone, Magic Johnson needed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Caitlin Clark desperately needs Aliyah Boston. But not just the Aliyah Boston we saw last year. We are talking about the newly evolved, lethal version of Aliyah Boston that was being forged in the fires of this offseason. The host of the video breaks down exactly what Aliyah Boston was doing in this 3-on-3 league before she went down, and it highlights the catastrophic tactical loss the Fever are facing.
3% from behind the arc shows her game is continuing to grow and develop, which should bode well for the Fever. Listen, if she's going to be shooting and making threes when she's doing that pick and pop, pick and roll with Caitlin Clark, when Caitlin Clark is getting blitzed and all that, oh man, it's going to be over. It's going to be over. It's literally going to be over.
She was shooting 33% from the three-point line. Do you understand the tactical nightmare that presents for opposing WNBA coaches? Last year, teams were blitzing Caitlin Clark. They were sending 2, sometimes 3 defenders at her the moment she crossed half court because they knew they could leave the paint open. But if Aliyah Boston, a massive, imposing center, can step out to the three-point line and consistently knock down the outside shot, it breaks the defense entirely. You can no longer double-team Caitlin Clark. If you double Caitlin, she passes to Aliyah, and Aliyah hits the 3. If you stay home on Aliyah, Caitlin Clark has a one-on-one matchup, and she pulls up from the logo. It is an unguardable, unsolvable offensive equation. That pick-and-pop synergy was the ultimate weapon. It was the key to unlocking a WNBA championship in 2026, and now it is entirely in jeopardy because Aliyah Boston was playing in a meaningless exhibition game against Rose BC in February. If she has suffered a torn ACL or a ruptured Achilles, the Indiana Fever's championship window slams shut before it even officially opens. Caitlin Clark will be forced to play another entire season facing double teams, triple teams, and physical exhaustion because her primary offensive partner is sitting on a surgeon's table, and the collateral damage of this medical disaster extends far beyond the borders of Indianapolis. This is an international crisis. USA Basketball has a mandatory training camp starting on March 6th in Miami. They have the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament starting on March 11th in Puerto Rico. This was supposed to be the grand unveiling. This was supposed to be the moment the world got to see Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston wearing the red, white, and blue, dominating international competition together, building their chemistry on the global stage. Caitlin Clark is on that roster. Aliyah Boston is on that roster. But now, her status is completely up in smoke. You do not suffer a lower extremity injury that rules you out of a season on February 27th, and then miraculously report to an Olympic-level training camp 5 days later. She is going to miss Team USA. She is going to miss the reps. She is going to miss the opportunity to represent her country, all because of a 3-on-3 tournament. But we have to look at the macro picture here. We have to look at the timing of this disaster, because the timing is almost biblically cruel. The WNBA is currently a house on fire. The CBA negotiations are a toxic, miserable failure. The agents are at war with the players' union. The rank-and-file players are revolting against the executive committee. The owners have laid down a hard, non-negotiable ultimatum of March 10th. The entire league is hanging by a single thread, threatening to plunge into the abyss of a lockout that could permanently destroy the momentum created by the Caitlin Clark economy. And right in the middle of this unprecedented administrative chaos, the most important big woman of the next generation goes down with a mysterious, potentially season-ending injury. The host of the video summarizes the sheer, overwhelming dread of this moment perfectly.
Okay, the March 10th date for when these players need to agree to a WNBA season is right around the corner. Okay, this is not the time for Aliyah Boston to be getting injured. This is not the time for any of this, okay? We need to get the players under.
It is the water leak that floods the basement. While the roof is already caving in, the Indiana Fever organization, the WNBA front office, and the millions of fans across the globe are already suffering from absolute exhaustion dealing with the greed, the politics, and the egos of the veteran players who are holding the season hostage. We are exhausted. We are tired of the drama. All we wanted was to get this CBA signed, get the players into training camp, and watch Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston play basketball. And now, on top of all the legal and financial warfare, we have to sit here and pray to the basketball gods that the Unrivaled medical staff isn't hiding a torn Achilles. This is the ultimate cautionary tale. This is why you do not bite the hand that feeds you. The WNBA veterans wanted to prove they were independent. They wanted to build their own league. They wanted to show the owners they didn't need them. But all they have accomplished is fracturing their own union, alienating their own agents, and severely injuring the young superstars who are supposed to carry this sport into the next decade. The Unrivaled League owes the Indiana Fever franchise, USA Basketball, and every single Caitlin Clark fan a massive, immediate, and transparent apology. They owe us the truth. Stop hiding behind vague medical terminology. Stop the PR spin. Tell us exactly what happened to Aliyah Boston's leg, because if you have permanently damaged the career of a generational talent in a meaningless 3-on-3 game, you have not just ruined the 2026 season, you have committed a crime against the sport of basketball itself. The clock is ticking toward March 10th. The league is on the brink of a lockout, and now, the Indiana Fever are holding their breath in the emergency room. Welcome to the darkest timeline in WNBA history.